All right, man, y'all may be seated. We're gonna do some more worship in a little bit, so, but first we wanted to introduce our special guest. And, so you hear about the ride that's coming up and everything, so the one who will be emceeing this, what are you saying that for?
Because you said you were going to
You're on
introduce.
this side of the camera. This side of the camera.
You said you
So
were.
Chris is helping put this ride together, but she can tell you about this ministry. And again, just this may be something that directly affects you or somebody you know. And man, having a resource is always valuable. So, Chris.
Yeah.
Woo!
You told me I had to have a microphone today, but y'all know I'm loud. Anyway, I'm not going to talk long. I'm going to let them do everything. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing Freedom to be a part of this. And I love what you guys are doing. I mean, Rhonda, I've known you for years. Pat, I've known you for years. And Kelly, and y'all just mean the world to me. And thank you for bringing it to us to allow us to work with you. And this, I mean, it's needed, definitely. Johnston County, Harnett County, Wade County. So thank y'all so much for what you're doing. And I'm going to let Pat take it from here, because I don't like talking. I don't like doing it in front of camera.
No. You're right.
I'm beating out my chest right now.
Thank y'all. Hey. All right, man. Good to see you guys. Oh, y'all didn't leave. That's awesome, mentor, ain't it? Pastor Mike, thank you for having us.
Yes.
And, brother, we just appreciate all that Freedom has done here for us, not only, but for the community. Man, we're just growing. Golly. You know, I come from humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we talk about traditions. And one of the, you know, I'm not a traditional type of guy. But man, to see that tent get walked in or walked out of here, well, man, that's a good time, wasn't it? Out there in Highway 70,
Yeah.
watching everybody, waving everybody right now. Oh, that's a
Mowing the
good time.
sanctuary.
But that's awesome, awesome, man. We humble ourselves, and we thank you all for having us here today. You know, I grew up in Freedom. I grew up right here. I'm 5'5". I ain't grown physically. But spiritually, because of the mentorship that we have here, I've grown. Jesus is my Lord.
Amen.
And thank you. Thank you. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Don't focus on this tall guy up here. I want you guys to focus on the banners. You know, these banners, we started 2 years ago. And this is just a portion of the banners you see here, or the faces, these young folks that have gone before us because of this epidemic that we have today. You know, the opiate epidemic. You know, and that's what we are here. That's why JOCO Angels was started. And those of you who know JOCO, Johnson County, if you're not from around here. All right. This is how JOCO Angels got started. You know, we lost our son, David, and he was part of the youth group here when we was out there at the vineyards. And unfortunately, he took his life because of opiate addiction. And you know, it's hard. It's hard to see. You know, I'm coming from a standpoint of a stepdad. You know, can you imagine his mom? You know, and it's hard. Not only did you lose somebody that you love, it also breaks up the family. It hurts the family even greater because we have to deal with the reality that they're not here anymore. You know, but we have, and that's one of the reasons we're here is to bring awareness to the community. There's a need to spread the word. There is a problem in Johnson County and throughout the whole state. You know, and we want to start now. We want to bring awareness to the schools, to these young folks, that there are better ways to deal with the stress and the complexity of just living in this world today. It's crooked. It's immoral. But with the grace of God, we stay faithful. We trust in the Lord that He can take these addictions, take it away. But we can't do it. They have to do it. The only thing we can do is pray.
Amen.
And we can be an example to these young folks. Yeah. So help us, and we thank you because we know you're doing it. Thank you for inviting us here. And you're going to hear some awesome testimony and the reasons that why we started this group. So we can save, if anything, one life is precious.
Amen.
So with that, I thank you again. And I'm going to introduce Rhonda. And she will take it from here. Awesome person we got.
Thank you, Pat. Hi, everybody. I'm Rhonda Toppings. I'm the Vice President of JOCO Angels. And I'm here to honor the memory of my son, Jordan Toppings. He's on the back of my shirt. And his handsome face is also on one of these banners. He's the sixth picture down under the letter U over here. These banners are a nationwide campaign that started maybe a year and a half ago to put faces to the statistics, to the numbers. We've lost tens of thousands in just the last few years nationwide to opioid addiction. We only have 6 of the banners. We're getting ready to get another one, but they've made 21 banners, and there's 150 faces on every banner. These are all bright, beautiful people that most of them very young, that had their lives cut short. So we take these banners with us everywhere we go and display them, and it is very humbling to see the faces, and they're not just numbers. These were lives cut short. But my son, Jordan Toppings, graduated from West Johnston High School in 2016. In August of 2017, he first made me aware of the fact that he was addicted to heroin. Up until then, I had no clue. He did not display any signs to me. He looked totally normal, functioning normal. I had no clue. Not everybody shows signs. Some do, but some don't. And at the time, I knew nothing about heroin, although I had heard about the opioid epidemic. When he said, "Mom, I got this, I can do this on my own, I got this," I believed him. I was totally naive and had no clue. I did not know what a monster it really was and how it's virtually impossible to quit on your own, and it's extremely difficult even with professional help. And our facilities and treatment centers in our area are very limited. We've learned that. We've learned that the hard way. So about 7 months later, March 2018, he came to me and said, "Okay, Mom, I can't do it on my own, I need help." And he had done his research and he decided he wanted medically assisted outpatient treatment. I have good insurance, but I still spent hours and hours on the phone trying to find the treatment that he wanted locally that would take my insurance. I came the closest to having a nervous breakdown that day that I think I ever have in my life, because it was just one phone call after another, rejection, rejection, rejection. And that's when I realized how truly broken our systems are. I finally did find a treatment center in North Raleigh and made him an appointment. And at the very first appointment, the doctor asked, "How did we get here?" My son said it all started when he had sustained an injury and was prescribed pain pills, opioids. Since then, I've learned, research has proven that your body can become addicted to prescription pain pills in 5 days. It doesn't take weeks, it doesn't take months. 5 days. It's not always a choice. Sometimes your body just gets addicted. And then you're fighting that beast. So after the prescriptions ran out, he turned to the streets and eventually started using heroin. Since then, I've learned 85% of those that use illegal heroin started with prescription pain pills, opioids. And that has been what has fueled the opioid epidemic, mainly. Doctors handing out prescription pain pills, the hard pain pills, when they weren't necessarily required. He continued with his treatment, and he seemed to be doing very well. He did backslide a couple of times, but I had every confidence that he would get his life back in order and everything would be fine. But in January 2019, he took his own life at 20 years old.
And I know in my heart it was the effects of the drugs that put him in that state of mind that caused him to make that fatal decision. Who are we, JOCO Angels? It initially began with a couple of us who were in the same grief support group in March 2019, so it's just 2 years ago that we met. And it was due to the loss of our sons. We were invited to speak along with another mother who had lost her son to the epidemic at a forum that was organized in May 2019 in Benson on drug abuse and its effect on our communities and our lives. In addition to the 3 moms, there were also 2 representatives from the Sheriff's Department and also people who were in recovery from addiction who spoke at the forum. We had a great discussion, lots of information was exchanged, and lots of questions were asked. And we realized then there was a lot of room for improvement and a lot of gaps in making information and resources readily available to those affected by this epidemic and people that have overdosed. And I can tell you, when someone reaches out to you and says, I want help, that is not the time to start Googling. That's when I almost had a nervous breakdown, because it's such a scary, frantic, chaotic situation. So we have at least put together a list of resources on our Facebook page and on our website, JOCOAngels.com. So anytime, if you know of anybody that is in need of help, we have inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, therapists, we have all kinds of things. And again, it's limited, and not everybody can take patients right now because of COVID. But that is one of our greatest passions, is to maybe bring a detox facility to Johnston County. It is needed so badly. But anyway, after that forum, a handful of us got together and decided we needed to create awareness and bring the resources to the forefront, making them readily available to those struggling with addiction. We've partnered with several other organizations. One of our goals is to speak at the Johnston County, we have spoken at the Johnston County Middle and High Schools before COVID hit. That kind of shut us down and slowed us down for a little while. But we want to be proactive for those that are not yet affected and educate and create awareness for them. And we also want to provide resources and support for those that are already affected. One of the biggest impacts that we have right now, we have what we call Parents of Addicted Loved Ones, PAL, meeting every Monday night, and Phyllis will talk more about that in a few minutes. But that is where we have provided support to families of those that are suffering addiction. Now, those that are actual ones in addiction don't go to that meeting. That's just to support the family members and give them the tools to help them manage and deal with the situation. But then we also have dealt one-on-one with those in active addiction that reach out to different ones of us. And a lot of times people just need somebody to love on them. We're no experts, but we can love on them. And that seems to go such a long way and hits them so deeply, and they're so grateful for that, just having somebody to listen to them and somebody that cares. So, but we do facilitate that PAL meeting every Monday night. Phyllis will talk more about that in just a few minutes. We're so grateful to Freedom Biker Church, Christy, for y'all sponsoring and hosting our first fundraiser coming up May 8th, the Ride for Recovery. We appreciate y'all's support with that. Again, our biggest goal is to do a detox facility, treatment center somewhere here in Johnston County. We need it so bad. God has gone before us in everything we've done. Even being able to speak in schools is a big thing, guys, because other parents in other counties have said, how did y'all do that? We've tried to get into this county. We've tried to get into that county. How did y'all get into the schools? So God opened that door. He goes before us. He opens every door. He opens every window, and he even blows off the roof sometimes. And so if it is meant to be, he will help us get a detox facility. We also have open meetings every first Thursday of every month at Lighthouse Baptist Church at McGee's Crossroads. That is open to the public. So we invite y'all to come out anytime you want to come and see what we got going on there. Follow our Facebook page. That way you can keep abreast of all of our events. We have a table set up, a resource table by the door. We have literature on the PAL meetings. We have these medication disposal kits. If you have medication in your medicine cabinet at home that you no longer use, trust and believe, if you have a teenager in the family or a young adult, they're checking out your medicine cabinet when they come over. So we encourage you to take one of these. They're in a basket there by our resource table, and there's instructions on the back. It's a safe way to dispose your medicine, and it deactivates it, neutralizes it. So we encourage you to do that. And we also have limited Narcan available. If you know of anyone that could benefit from it, please approach one of our team members. We're all wearing our shirts, so approach one of us afterwards, and we can help you. Again, we have a limited supply. We're trying to get more. If anybody has any connections to help us get more, we'd appreciate it. But we thank y'all for having us here. This is great, and we're honored to be here and share our stories, and we're just so grateful for y'all. Thank you.
She's like, oh, it's okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Danette Jernigan, and I'm the Public Information Officer for JOCO Angels. And this is Ellie Mae. I think most of y'all have met her as you were coming in. She wants to be sure everyone sees her all the time. She's my 16-month-old mini golden doodle, and she's my ride or die and my most faithful companion. She goes with me everywhere I go. And she is certified for PTSD and anxiety. And there's not a lot that scares her. She got away with a while ago when the music started, but then she realized what was going on and she would calm right down and lay down. So she's a great asset for me and for our organization. She will go back into schools with us when we're able to get back in after COVID restrictions are over. And I do take her. I have provided peer support for some families, and Ellie goes with me. So that's why you see she is a service dog, but I do allow her to get love. So if you came in late, didn't get a chance to love on her, she'll be waiting. She wants to get all the kisses. So I'd also like to say that I'm happy to be here this morning with you all, and especially here at this church on this road. Tar Heel Road is very special to me. I grew up on Tar Heel Road my whole life, and my mom is here this morning, but they still live here on Tar Heel Road, so they hear y'all coming by every morning, and Sunday morning when you're going to church. And as you may have noticed, on 301 and Tar Heel and 242 and Tar Heel, there's signs up that's Adopt a Highway in memory of Dakota Strickland. That's my daughter. And so 4 times a year, we get out there, my friends and family, and we pick up trash up and down this road. So if y'all ain't ever busy, I'll come and get with you, and y'all can be sure to come and help. And I'm sure Dakota gets a good laugh out of that because we're up there picking up trash, and she's probably like, what are they doing picking up trash for me? But we enjoy doing it, Erica. We enjoy doing it because it gives us a chance to honor her memory and think about her, and we also, like, you never know what kind of stuff you're going to pick up on the side of this road. It gets pretty interesting sometimes. But I am grateful to be here today. So I want to say first, also, I was led to join JOCO Angels after I lost my only child, Dakota, and she was 22 years old. I lost her on May 23rd, 2019 to a fentanyl poisoning. Ellie, she's acting up today. And my desires to be here are to provide peer support to families struggling with loss from overdose, or those that are currently trying to help an addicted loved one, to help educate students, parents, and teachers about drugs, alcohol,
and mental health related issues in hopes to prevent drug use among people, or young people, and to reduce stigma related to addiction and overdose in our communities. And I'll give you the abbreviated version of Dakota's story here. I learned in July 2016 that Dakota was addicted to opioids. My beautiful, smart, and talented daughter that was shown nothing but love since birth, never really lacked for any material things, had a family that cared about her and invested time in her, that grew up in church, was using heroin. How could I have missed this? Then in just 3 short years later, she was gone. I don't believe that God created Dakota to die from drugs. No. But I believe that since Dakota had made her choices and had gone down that path, that God used the best scenario that He could to save her from something far worse that only He could see down the road for her life. I also believe that the minute Dakota was taken from me, I was given a huge burden on my heart that could only have came from God. And it was to help others that were struggling just like Dakota did, because I never wanted another parent to get the phone call that I received in May 2019 that changed my life forever. I once was asked to describe Dakota in 5 words. Those words chosen were not the typical words that you would say about your child, smart, funny, talented, I always say that about her. But this was for a special project, and I wanted it to be something that would be deeper. So the words chosen were life fulfilled for greater purpose. I believe that God took Dakota in the manner that He did because it would be a doorway open for her life, for her story, to be used for a greater purpose. Dakota was such an awesome person. She was worthy and deserving of an amazing life, but she just couldn't love herself enough while she was here to see that. And I just want to say real quick, the last song that y'all sang in your worship service there's always something that God gives me whenever I'm speaking or whenever I'm doing something that lets me know Dakota is here with me. And I think y'all sang that song for me because everything I do for her, I use a hashtag that says you are worthy. So that song was for me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate God giving that to y'all because I do believe that was for me. But Dakota has now been able to touch more people since her death than she ever would have before. Her beautiful face is traveling all across the United States on the Can You See Me Now banners, doing outreach work for drug awareness. She's on banner number 6, the second column from your left, and she's about the 6th one down. She's involved in many other drug awareness campaigns far and wide. Her story is saving people and helping others in a way that I cannot explain. I feel even more close to her now than I ever have because she is fighting this battle alongside of me every single day. Together we are the voices of many that have lost their lives, and we are going to make a difference and bring about changes for addiction, obtain more resources, help those seeking recovery, and continue our efforts to break the stigma associated with overdose, addiction, and mental health issues for our county and all across the state of North Carolina. I miss my daughter every single day. She was my only child. I'll never see her graduate college or dress in a beautiful wedding dress, walking down the aisle to marry the love of her life. I'll never get to hold a sweet grandchild in my arms for the first time and make many special memories and create family traditions with them like I have with my grandma. When Dakota died, a huge part of me died with her. My life will never be the same. I'm blessed that God loaned Dakota to me for 22 wonderful years. And because of my faith in Him, I know that I will get to see her again one day. I am grateful to be a member of JOCO Angels so that I can help others that are navigating the difficult road of losing a child to overdose, to those currently battling the monster of addiction, and to those that are ready to find recovery. By helping others, I have been able to begin my own recovery and healing my heart from the tragic loss of my daughter. I couldn't have made it this far without the support that I've received from my friends that understand my pain. I want to leave y'all with this. It's 2 verses from the song Graves into Gardens by Elevation Worship. These words are constantly in my head lately, and I feel like God is giving them to me as my comfort. And I also feel like it should be our theme song for JOCO Angels. You turn mourning into dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. And I believe that God is taking all the bones that have gone before us, and He's making those armies right now. And our children are always there fighting with us, and we say it all the time. And just like the song that y'all sang, I always can tell when she's right here with me. From the 2 Sundays ago when we picked up trash on Tar Hill Road, I got in my car at Food Line after we left, and my fiance's aunt texted a picture from 2016, and it was a picture of us at Thanksgiving, and she said, this popped up on my phone. I thought you would want to see it. And it was a picture of her and me and a couple other people at Thanksgiving in 2016. Why did that pop up on her phone? I don't know. But we had just cleaned up this road, and I had just left and went to Food Line. That's God giving me that peace to let me know that Dakota is with me. So, you can do things, and she was raised in church. She had God in her heart. She wrote a letter about that while she was in treatment in Greensboro, and what is spirituality, and I carry it with me all the time, and it was to her God. So she, even then in her dark time, she remembered that God was spirituality to her. And she always would remember that even at her worst day. So thank y'all for letting me share. I don't want to hold that thing.
You're good. Go ahead. Take your
So
time.
as long as you want.
Okay, it's not going to be that long. Hi, I'm Phyllis. And I just want to first say that God is good.
All the time.
That's right, all the time.
God is good.
I'm honored to be here today. I am a member of the leadership team for JOCO Angels. Can you hear me? Okay? Okay.
Ellie said yes.
I am a member of the JOCO Angels, and I am blessed to say that I still have my son. It's so hard to follow these beautiful mothers that I can't imagine the ache that they feel in their hearts every day from losing their children. But as a mother of a recovering addict, I know pain, and I know it daily. And sometimes it's unbearable because you can't see an ending to it. And unfortunately, the ending is usually an obituary.
My son Jonathan is 24 years old. He is currently in a recovery facility in Florida. In fact, he's only been there 10 days. You think with him being in rehab, I could sleep, I would have some peace, and I do. It's like every other addict that goes through the path, they go through jail, and we have a saying in our PAL meeting, the parents of addicted loved ones, when your loved one is in jail, that's some of the best sleep you can get, because you know they are inside, they're somewhat safe, and they're getting fed. But just currently this week, I get a call in. I had to do the tough love for my son when he left for Florida. I told him, you can't come back home. You can't come back home. I can go see you, but you can't come back home. You can't come back to Johnston County. Johnston County is a death sentence for him. He knows that, and I know that. But do you know how hard it is to know that your child can't come home? Because of the temptations. And like I said, this week I got a call thinking he was safe in rehab. The counselor said he's leaving. 5 days in detox. I could just get him to 10. Maybe that crap would be out of his system. So he wouldn't talk to me on the phone. She said, if he goes out these doors, he's going to die. Because he's indicated that all he wants to do is get high, and that he wants to die with the rest of his friends. He was friends with Jordan, and he don't understand why he's still alive. He has seen more death at 24 than most of us have seen our whole life. He's had people die in his car, and they drop him off at the hospital, and I'm embarrassed to say that about my child. That I knew he had addicts using in his car that died, and that he tried to save them. Didn't work. He has saved many with Narcan, but I'm lucky that my child tells me this stuff, but there's some stuff you just don't want to hear. You just don't want to hear that your loving little child that played soccer and was just so active and happy is now using drugs. And he even told me one time, I love it. I love using it. I love the feeling that it gives me. Heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. And I know I've told you some details about what it's like to live as mother of an addict. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions. It's up and downs, but I can assure you there's more downs than there is up. A lot of heartbreak. But instead of concentrating so much on him and his struggle, I want to stress awareness, education, and the need for resources. Hardly a week goes by that us as a JOCO Angels don't receive a call from a parent that is crying, please, please help me get my child in recovery. And there's no easy answer for them. We can give them a list of resources, and they can call. But like my fellow team leader said, you might can get in, you might can't. With COVID, it's ruined everything. You may have insurance, you might not have insurance. But it can be a hurry up and wait process when you're on the phone. But when you have an addict who's just OD, I know, you have an addict who's just OD, they're in the hospital, and they say, Mama, Mama, I'm ready to go somewhere right now. Well, your window of opportunity is about this long, because as soon as they get home, they don't need it no more. They don't need it no more. So you have this short window of opportunity to try to slide them in somewhere in hopes that they will get recovery. But most of the time, the doors are shut. And I want to give you an interesting fact. If you have insurance, you think, oh yeah, they'll accept it. Maybe not with rehab. This is a typical charge for a detox a day, $1,000 a day. They recommend that you stay in detox 7 to 10 days. You can do that math, it's easy. Now you tell me who has $7,000. I don't. I'll work. I don't have $7,000. I have good insurance. And by the grace of God, my child has been able to go because, but I'm blessed. A lot of people do not have insurance. And I know for sure they don't have $1,000 a day. And so that's why our goal to bring a long-term goal, in God's grace, that we'll get a rehab or a detox facility here because we need it. And daily we hear on the news about underserved communities. You know what I'm talking about? You've heard that in the news, underserved communities, when it comes to getting COVID shots and having the resources available for COVID. But in my opinion, the most underserved community right now is addiction and mental health. It just makes me sick. It really does. I mean, don't you wish that we could have addiction prevalent and on the news media as big as COVID? If we had addiction featured, we have cures, we have places, we have doors open so our kids can get in rehab. But until somebody, or until it happens to some of them or somebody, nobody wants to talk about it. And I don't mean to step on any toes with this statement, but I'm going to say it anyway. Our political leaders have let us down. Our local governments have let us down. And yes, folks, our church has let us down. They've let us down when it comes to acknowledging the fact that this is a problem and helping us find a resolution. The stigma attached to addiction and mental illness has clouded people's minds. And you know what I'm talking about when I say stigma. And addiction does not discriminate. Look at these beautiful faces. You know, you have loved ones. So the typical junkie, and we hate that word, that we see portrayed in the movies and on television is not an accurate picture. Once again, look at these beautiful faces and you don't see, and you don't think junkie. So it can happen to anyone. But I would like to say in closing that we're grateful to Freedom for having us today and sponsoring the Rifle Recovery, because with your help, we're going to be able to educate, offer resources to those in need. And I personally look forward to working with Freedom and our other volunteers on May 8th to having a successful ride. And the one last thing I'd like to add is that if you have a loved one that's struggling with addiction, don't suffer in silence. We have a group that Rhonda told you about, the Parents of Addicted Loved Ones. Meets on Monday nights at Friendly Chapel Church. I know where that is, on 50, right there at these crossroads. It's from 6:30 to 8. It's a support group of parents that help parents. And I can't tell you how important it is to seek your own recovery as a parent of an addicted loved one. Your loved one may not seek recovery, but you can. And I just can't just tell you how much PAL means to me. It is a faith-based organization, and it's only for parents or loved ones who have a loved one or a spouse dealing with alcohol and drugs. So you're welcome to come. I'm a facilitator. Pat's wife, Kelly, is a facilitator. And we like to say it's our new family. I look forward to Monday nights. I mean, we take something away from that every week. But like I said, please do not suffer in silence. We understand. We've been there. And I can guarantee you there's nothing that you could say in PAL that one of our parents has not been through. So, to end it today, I would personally like to ask each and every one of you to put my family and my son on your prayer list. It's so hard. Pray that the Lord will put someone in his path that will convince him to stay, that will convince him to get clean. Because like I told a gentleman earlier, the only person that can actually clean him is Jesus Christ. And right now, his heart is hardened to Christ and anything faith related. And I don't know why. You know, he was brought up in church. Used to have a beautiful, beautiful gift of prayer as a little one. So I just, if you don't mind, please, his name is Jonathan. Lift his name up, Jonathan. If you don't have anything else to pray for him because he needs it. I need it as a mother. Like I said the other night when he was leaving the facility, I told him bye, and I told him the next time I see him, it'll be in a body bag. And he hung up on me. He hung up. And I just had to cry that night that I knew that I'd be burying him. And I would just wait for the call to pick him up or pick him up from the airport or whatever from Florida. So pray that I don't get that call. Please pray that I don't get that call. And once again, thank you so much for having us. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Amen. Thank you for y'all sharing. And know what you're talking about, and we continue to pray for you. I have a stepdaughter, Pat, you may remember, and she's 40-ish now, but it was a lot of prayers, and I know what you mean when you think about a good night's sleep because your kid's in jail. But you're thinking at least they're safe as far as you know. Exactly. Then there were several years we didn't know where she was at, didn't know if she was alive or not. And so thank the Lord, she's been clean for some time now, and Mama gets calls on birthdays and Mother's Day. So I know, I was sharing with y'all a little earlier about talking with our association director, and I said, one of the things that's just frustrating, you're exactly right. Politics is politics. The politicians we all know that. The church, though, we support a ministry, because I think about these faces. There's also a lot of faces that we don't get to put on pictures because they've never been seen yet of the unborn. And we support In His Hands Pregnancy Center in Smithfield. There's no churches like stepping up. It's sad every year as we do a Christmas ride toy fundraiser and we give them a donation. And it's like, where's the churches? Preachers preach about abortion and stuff like this, but the churches don't get behind it. So Freedom, we've got an opportunity, May the 8th.
May they?
Support, be here. I love cleaning the road, absolutely. Some of us need some, bending over, picking up trash stuff.
It really ain't that dirty anymore.
No, we're gonna try to keep this little section out here clean, so that'll make it easier, but we can help with the other, amen? But I think we can do so much more, because I know there's a lot of people in this room that have either experienced addictions. We got some of you guys and gals, you don't take pain pills and stuff because you know your addictions. You gotta know your awareness, and it takes a group and takes support, and that's what brotherhood and sisterhood's about. But you also may have someone that's struggling with addiction. And I think we're going to close a little differently. We're not going to have the band come back out. I think what I'd like to do is we're going to circle up like the old days. And we're going to close with a prayer. And two things. One, the bike went down was Joe. He does the parking lot sweeping. And Becky. Joe and Becky. Joe was unconscious and it took him up the big wake. So we want to definitely keep Joe in prayer. We also want to pray for Robin Bailey, our sister, who just lost her son. And so we want to keep her in prayer. And not get into the details of that, but a lot of this stuff hits home, folks. And you may have somebody that you know of. And I can promise you, it's not getting easier for them. And especially as stuff like marijuana gets legalized for medicinal purposes and things, the access to this stuff is so much easier now. And these kids don't go to the doctors and get prescriptions for opioids. They get them from our medicine cabinets. And so, and that leads from one thing to the other to the other. So, you know, back in the day when we were growing up, when I was growing up, it was stealing your dad and mom's cigarettes. Yes, I did that. It's a whole lot more out there now. And so we need each other's support, amen? We need to pray for these ladies and their families and for everybody involved in this ministry. We want to be hands-on as much as we can. So not just for the ride, but even after that. And we'll keep praying for your son. Yes, ma'am?
I would like to say that if anybody has any questions, please approach any of us. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
About the resources or anything.
What I want to do, instead of having our usual invitations, we're going to circle up and pray, do a closeout prayer, and then I'd love to have y'all, if you want to be up here or at your table. So if you'd like to talk to one of them about, or put somebody on the list, or just, because resources is the number one thing. A lot of things that we didn't know is like what to do. And trust God first, and yet, but making that tough love and saying you can't come home is hard. And some people look at you and go, well, that's just mean, you know, you need to, but we took our daughter from here to Kentucky and she didn't know anybody, and it took like 2 days to find a boy in drugs.
Yeah.
They will find it. And so it's hard, and you'll just feel like you're failing, but it's just some things that you can't control because they're grown, and we just have to love them.